Alright, so it's the end of January. Hunting season is mostly over, so I usually kind of kick up the fitness and working out routines through the winter leading up to the spring and summer. So one thing that I've been kind of thinking about this year is the actual building of more muscle mass, like the size of, the muscle, size of the biceps, size of the chest. I've always been kind of like big into running. I've been into Taekwondo, and for me, it seems like a lot of like fast movements kind of ends up shrinking our bodies to an effect. If you see a lot of runners, a lot of cardio, fast movements, I just feel like the body inherently, to increase speed, kind of wants to streamline the body and kind of makes it smaller. Looking online, there seems to be like some debate into the effectiveness of isometric workouts, which is like basically static holds. Me personally, possibly because this has been coupled with upping my calories quite a bit, but me personally, I've been focusing on static holds quite a bit, and I kind of feel just over the last few months I've actually gained quite a bit of size, particularly in my arms and chest. Where previously I had been doing bench presses and nothing to do with static holds. I was really going through a phase where I was really trying to up the overall weight, and I kind of plateaued and just couldn't get over a certain amount. But I wasn't doing any sort of static holds at all, and it just feels like my chest might have got more efficient, but it wasn't exactly getting bigger in size. But I did come across a little interesting tidbit online fairly recently. So on the one hand, I have read that static holds are kind of overwhelmingly activating your muscle fibers as you're holding a weight, and obviously maximizing the time under tension. So they kind of have the ability to maximize the breakdown of muscle. So then, over the next few days, as you're eating and eating and eating, that muscle's actually grown back quite a bit more. Then, like, maybe if you're doing multiple movements, you're breaking down the muscle, but maybe not quite so focused on one particular part of the muscle. So I actually came across something that's pretty interesting. So this is an English longbow. I've used it in a couple of YouTube videos already. Big fan of archery and hunting, and I use a compound bow, but I also kind of like the old style stuff. So English longbows were used by the British 1200s, 1300s, 1400s during the 100-Year War. And there were a lot of archers, in Britain. And as they dig up these skeletons, I guess, this is kind of a tidbit I've seen floating around the internet. You can tell when someone was a highly trained archer from back then because they used a lot of draw weight. And basically, my understanding is as you draw the bow, you're going to see that you get this arm that's kind of like in a static hold. This arm here is dynamic. And I guess the deal is you get a lot of muscle and bone growth on this arm that's a static hold. And then with this arm, it tends to be a little more streamlined, and the back shoulder is a little more striated typically. So I think that might be a good example of a static hold. You're holding this and you got a lot of muscle mass around the shoulder to support it. So So you're holding it, and this arm is not really moving at all. It's really basically doing a static hold, and you know, I think that might be a pretty good indication as to what static holds can do for a person, you know, overall. So you can basically apply that to any exercise. So you could, you know, do your typical curls, or you could hold it. And when I do these holds, I'm holding for pretty much as long as I possibly can. The lighter the weight, the longer I can hold it. You know, I'm going to be targeting anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes. And I think I've read that doing a hold like this is kind of drawing the oxygen away from the muscle. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I would say I can kind of feel that, because the longer I hold it, I get kind of like a tingling sensation, you know, around the activated muscle. So a lot of times when I'm done with a static hold, I'll do kind of like a lighter weight, and I'll just bang out like 12 to 15 reps. And then maybe give myself a little rest for a couple minutes, and then, you know, try to go out 12 to 15 reps again, just to pump some oxygen back to that muscle to hopefully recover it. And that's kind of what I'm working on. So the potential ability for isometric exercises to build a lot more muscle mass, because around 2020, 2021, I had, some dieting routines, and I'd been walking a lot, and, you know, you always fall into that trap of, you know, dieting to try to cut weight and fat and all that, but, you know, sometimes we take it a little too extreme and we end up burning a lot more muscle than we intended to. So I lost a lot of muscle mass, I'd say, in my arms. And it was to the point where, I think in 2021, I couldn't even draw my bow that I typically, you know, my compound bow. And I had to spend a whole year regaining muscle to be able to comfortably pull that back and get through a 3D archery tournament. But, you know, this bow here has been a great tool for actually getting strength back in the arms, because, you know, it's a lot smoother on the draw than a compound bow. So yeah, so on that note, so I'll actually, you know, do some planks and hold them, so I feel like, you know, I'm kind of getting the angle just right, so I'm not working on my core as much as I am actually working my chest. So try to put a lot of the pressure on my shoulders here, up through the chest, and, you know, I'll hold that, and you know, that kind of builds up my whole upper body. So that's my plan for this year, and if anyone has any comments, you know, feel free to you know, throw them out there, because I'm not a certified fitness instructor, I'm not a doctor, you know, really just an you know, I guess an enthusiast. So when I'm not hunting, a lot of times the rest of the year, you know, I'm usually working on, you know, some sort of part of my body, you know, like running, or, you know, I go to the gym a lot. So again, I'm not like a super diehard, you know, fitness guy, but, you know, I always like to try new things and look at what other people are doing and what effect that's having on them. And, you know, I've just been into running for so long. I feel like running, you know, if you don't look out, I feel like it'll kind of burn your muscle away and ends up making you kind of like a smaller person. And, you know, I figured I'd just change it up and, you know, try to, you know, go more of the hypertrophy, route, I guess, you know, just kind of building certain parts of my body. So yeah, that's it. And yeah, any questions or comments, just you know, comment away.